Hey, what's good, guys? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's discuss the first Smackdown of the new year for 2025 from January the 3rd, 2025. An okay show. But these Smackdowns are going to be brutal because they're 3 hours. That makes zero sense. And this was a network decision. And so this is just going to be a trial run. I think they're going to run this for about, 5 or 6 months and see how the ratings hold up. And if they don't meet their criteria, then they're going to put SmackDown back to 2 hours, which is how it should be, in my opinion. So, hopefully SmackDown, sometime this year, will go back to 2 hours. I'm just being honest. I feel a 3-hour show is way too long. I get Raw being 3 hours on Netflix. That makes sense. It's been 3 hours since 2012. So, yeah. So, I see where Raw is 3 hours. But SmackDown, that's a no-go. So, we kicked the show off with Cody Rhodes. So he came out and he says normally he would ask what they want to talk about, but they probably all want to talk about the same thing. He said his timing is funny in life, just as in the industry. He says WWE is on the cusp of changing everything tonight because SmackDown goes to 3 hours in Phoenix. And Raw goes to Netflix. Who cares? So Cody said his excitement is tempered because he can only be involved in so much as he's not clear to wrestle because of Kevin Owens. Cody says at the Royal Rumble, it'll be just him and Kevin Owens in a ladder match. So Drew McIntyre, he interrupts, he comes out because they're still doing this whole transportal draft, I guess, if you could call it that. Mini draft? I don't know. So Drew says he's not here to hurt Cody. He's here to help Cody. Cody isn't on Drew's list, but Cody is about to screw up his entire life work. Everything Cody did, all that is to the dues that he paid to be the centerpiece. Drew says this is the greatest generation of the company. Right now, it's the best wrestlers they've ever had in ring. If you look at the numbers, the best of all time, by far, Cody is the quarterback of it all. But Cody's about to screw it all up. Drew tells Cody that there's a guy running around with a replica title like a fan in the crowd pretending to be a champion. He says Cody's neck is hanging by a thread. Drew says that the SmackDown gimmick, he can see that Cody needs a friend. So Drew embraces him or whatever. Cody cuts him off and tells Drew that he knows the transfer window is open and that Drew wants to help him. Cody says he'd like to tell the truth back to Drew. He watched Drew carry WWE through its darkest times. He saw over the last 2 to 3 years during the pandemic. Drew has become one of the best on the microphone and in the ring, but he doesn't believe Drew. He doesn't believe Drew, and he can feel the tension. The situation is going to devolve. He tells Drew that he wants a shot at the championship. They might as well just go ahead and do it. Everyone wants it. Drew tells him that he's telling him the truth. He's not here to hurt him. He's here to help him. And then Drew gets on the ring apron and he tells Cody that he needs to watch his back. And then Drew leaves, and then Cody is then attacked by Kevin Owens. The two of them have a little brawl. And then WWE officials and referees, they break it up. Okay, who cares about any of this? This is fine, I guess. This is a Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, maybe Seth Rollins alliance that's slowly forming. Do I care about this, though? Not really. Because I just don't give a shit about this. I just don't. Moving on. So, this leads us into our first match of the night. Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Andrade via the Kinshasa. Match was okay. Michael Cole did mention on commentary that both Andrade and Nakamura wrestled each other at a CMLL event years ago, back in about 10 years ago. So, cool stuff there, I guess. Is it important? No, not really. So, LA Knight, he comes out post-match, and he beats up Nakamura. He's about to hit him with the BFT, but Nakamura gets out the way, and he leaves the ring. So, LA Knight then gets on the microphone and tells Nakamura that one way or another, he's coming to collect for what is owed to him, and he'll stomp Nakamura to dust with everybody saying LA Knight, yeah. So that's pretty cool. I do like this. I'm glad that LA Knight is back. It makes perfect sense. When do you do the rematch? Do you do it at the Royal Rumble, or do you do it at Saturday night's main event? I would do it at Saturday night's main event. I feel that the Royal Rumble needs to only be 5 matches. We've already have 3. So that's the men's and women's Royal Rumbles. That's 2 matches. And then you have Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens in the ladder match for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So you have that. That's 3. And I would just add maybe 2 more matches, and then we're off to the races. That's all we need. We don't need a whole bunch of matches on the card. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But LA Knight being back kicks ass, and he got a really good reaction. So good stuff there. Moving on. Apollo Crews, he's backstage, and he's stopped by Pretty Deadly. Apollo Crews tells them that everyone knows that they're lying about who attacked Angelo Dawkins. So Legado del Fantasma, they show up, and Santos tells them that if Pretty Deadly is going to lie, then they can lie to their faces. Pretty Deadly tells them that that's ridiculous and to calm down. So they then grab Pretty Deadly by the throats, both of them, and then Nick Aldis and WWE officials, they break it up. So that's cool. I do like that. So then this leads us to Nick Aldis speaking to Pretty Deadly, and Income DIY. He tells them that they're all on thin ice, and then they walk away. So DIY tells them that they would be great number 1 contenders, but they have a huge title match against the Mercy Machine Guns, and it's very important that they lead the night as champions. Okay, this is fine. This makes sense. Pretty Deadly have been wasted on the main roster. What they need to do is send them back down to NXT. I would basically do the same thing with Legado del Fantasma. I would put both of those teams back down in NXT. I really would. Because they've done nothing on the main roster. They have done fuck all, nothing on the main roster. They've been on the main roster for about a good 6 to 8 months, and they've not done anything on the main roster. Because if that transfer window is supposed to mean anything, then you should send talent back down. Not just switch talent from Raw to SmackDown and vice versa. You got to put people down in NXT, because you are going to pull people from NXT probably in the next few weeks. So they've got to replenish those people that they're going to take. And if that means, bringing back Apollo Crews and Pretty Deadly and Legado del Fantasma, then I'm all for it. All right, moving on. Michin, she defeats Piper Niven. Not that important. She wins via Eat Defeat. All right. So I imagine they're probably going to do the rematch at Saturday Night's Main Event in January, later this month. So, yeah. Moving on. Paul Heyman, he comes out next. He gets on the mic. He says that he wants to set the record straight. He says on Monday, we'll find out who the real tribal chief is. Paul says he and Roman Reigns trained Solo to become the next in line, to become the next tribal chief. They taught him to become the tribal chief. They prepped him for the future, not now. Paul Heyman says at WrestleMania, Roman turned his attention to Seth Rollins for a moment, and Cody Rhodes took advantage. And that's where Solo Sikoa stole the Ulafala from Roman. And then he calls Solo Sikoa, that stupid son of a bitch, stole it from Roman Reigns. That's great. Excellent. He got rid of Jimmy Uso, the Wiseman, and everyone. And he brought in Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Loa. So Heyman, he's about to leave, but Solo Sikoa, he comes out. So Heyman tells Solo that he's 10 seconds away from pissing his pants, because last time he said that Solo was not his tribal chief, he went through a table, and he knows if he blinks at him the wrong way, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu will come out, and the same thing will happen again. Solo then extends his hand, and he asks for the mic. He tells Paul Heyman that he wants to owe him a favor. On Monday, he needs someone to hold the Ulafala during the tribal combat match. He needs someone who will love his family. And on Monday, if Roman beats him, he'll acknowledge Roman as his tribal chief. But when he beats Roman, he'll put the Ulafala around his neck, and everyone will know that he owns the Ulafala and that he owns Paul Heyman. And then the fans boo, and then Solo leaves the ring. And Paul Heyman is speechless. Okay, this is interesting. This actually makes sense. I do think that The Rock will show up and get involved. And maybe he reveals himself to be the main villain behind the new bloodline. And so maybe he helps Solo win the match or whatever. But I don't see that happening. I do see Roman winning, and I do see The Rock maybe coming out and beating down Solo Sikoa, and then maybe making Jacob Fatu the new guy in charge while he goes after Roman and Cody. I could see that happening as well. So that's what they might end up doing. They might end up kicking out Solo after he loses next week. So that should be an interesting piece of business when we get to it. Because Solo, if we're being honest, he's not ready to be in this position. Solo, really, in my opinion, should actually be in NXT still. I think he just got called up way too early. And he served his purpose well when he first, came on the scene for a while. But as of late, meaning like all of last year, he's not done really much of anything. And I feel that he's just not ready I feel that he's not ready to be in that spotlight right now. He's just not ready. So maybe we could see a massive turn coming to where The Rock, The Rock and Jacob Fatu and the Tongans, they end up beating the shit out of Solo and saying, The Rock's not going to tolerate failure and all that. We're not going to tolerate mediocrity. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Moving on. So, DIY versus the Mercy Machine Guns. DIY defeats the Mercy Machine Guns. No, they don't. It wasn't a no contest because Pretty Deadly and Legado del Fantasma, they got into a brawl, and during the match, both teams got involved, and they all had like a massive brawl. So there's that. I'm guessing this is going to lead into probably some type of fatal four-way, either at the Royal Rumble or Saturday night's main event. So this is basically a no contest. Not really all that important. Who cares about this shit? Moving on. So we go backstage and Nia Jax is with Candice LeRae. Nia asks where Tiffany Stratton is. And Candice LeRae tells her that Tiffany might still be angry about last week. Nia tells her that she needs Bianca to stay out of her way. And that Candice tells her anything she needs. And she walks away. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. So this leads us into Sami Zayn walking backstage. He's stopped by Carmelo Hayes. They both argue. Carmelo Hayes tells him that he had him beat. So the Usos, they come in. They ask Carmelo Hayes if they have a problem. And Carmelo Hayes says there's no problem. Sami Zayn tells Carmelo Hayes to tell him more. And Carmelo Hayes then walks off. They shake hands. And Sami Zayn walks away. The Usos begin walking and talking. And then they bump into Kevin Owens. That sack of shit. Jay tells him that he has to watch where he's going, and Kevin Owens tells him he has to watch his back, and then he walks away. So I do think that there is going to be an alliance of sorts, Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre, and probably Seth Rollins, maybe down the line, to form and go after the OG bloodline. I don't know. Remember, all these characters and stories are intertwined with each other, and they have been for the last 4 or 5 years now. So it's quite simple. Moving on, so Cody Rhodes, he's walking backstage. He's stopped by Nick Aldis, and Nick asks Cody if he's okay, and Cody says that he is. Nick Aldis tells him that Cody begged him to have the match at the Royal Rumble, and now Cody might not make it. Cody says that he respects the fact that he's thinking about his future, but he's actually a good boss, that being Nick Aldis. He's the boss and he's the champ. But this is the most important week in WWE history. Cody says he has the right to call a shot. And if Drew McIntyre wants to be on Smackdown, that's fine. But if he sees Kevin Owens, it's on sight. Nick Aldis should welcome him and bring him in, that being Drew McIntyre. Okay, this is fine, but do I care about this shit? No, I don't. Thankfully, this Kevin Owens-Cody Rhodes feud ends at the Royal Rumble. So we only have another 4 weeks of this nonsense, and then it's over with. But what do you do at Kevin Owens going into WrestleMania season? Do I care? No, I don't. I don't give a single fuck. Moving on. So, this leads us into Nia Jax versus Naomi for the WWE Women's Championship. So Nia Jax wins with the help of Tiffany Stratton. And then Tiffany Stratton, she cashes in on Nia Jax, and she wins. So there's a massive brawl scene that breaks down in the match, basically. So Bianca gets involved, and she takes out Candice LeRae. Tiffany Stratton comes out. She does a fake cash-in. She hits Naomi. This allows for Nia to hit the Annihilator. Nia Jax wins. Then Bianca hits Nia with the KOD. And then Tiffany Stratton hits Nia with the briefcase. she throws Candice LeRae into the ring post, and then Tiffany throws Bianca over the announce table, and this allows for Tiffany to hit the prettiest moonsault ever for the 1, 2, 3. She cashes in Money in the Bank successfully, and she wins. And so she's now the new WWE Women's Champion. That's cool. I like that. She got a really good reaction, great reaction, good shit there. But my only problem is this was a little bit too late. This was a little bit too late in the game for that shit. This should have happened months and months ago. So I guess they're going to do the rematch either at the Rumble or Saturday night's main event. I would imagine Tiffany wins, and I would imagine going into WrestleMania 41, it's going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. That makes the most sense. So Charlotte more than likely will return at the Royal Rumble. So, we know how this goes. But I do imagine, it's going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. That's where all of this is leading to. So Charlotte will be back in the next 4 weeks. Get ready for it. Moving on, let's lead us into the main event of the evening. The Bloodline, which is Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga. They defeat the OG Bloodline, the Usos, and Sami Zayn. Okay, that's fine. And Drew McIntyre got involved in the match as well. So there's that. Is this important? No, it's not. I don't care about this. Smackdown was okay. The Tiffany Stratton, cash in, that's great, but a little bit too late for my liking. Everything else on the show, I just didn't care about. I'm not interested in the Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes feud. I'm not interested in the Drew McIntyre Kevin Owens alliance. That could be okay. So maybe that's where they're going with Drew and Kevin Owens next. I guess. Do I care? No, I don't. LA Knight being back that's fine. That's cool. But everything else, I just don't care about. I don't care about what's going on in the tag division. Again, Pretty Deadly and Legado del Fantasma need to be back on NXT, and that should happen in the coming weeks. But I just don't care about, anything else on this show. And to me, it seems like SmackDown, this show was basically just massive filler. It really wasn't that important. And that's not good. This is the first SmackDown of the year. And we're going into WrestleMania season. And these shows have to be important. Raw and SmackDown, these shows have to be important. NXT, I'm not worried about it because NXT is always going to be fine. But Raw and SmackDown, they've got to produce good television. They have to. So it is what it is. But what did you guys think of SmackDown? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.